Hello, I'm Gabriel, and this is my game prototype Dungeon Invasion. It is a RPG dungeon crawler game that features procedural dungeon generation, smart enemy AI, and player progression system. The goal of this prototype is to prove that the full game design and core gameplay mechanics are achievable. Starting off, this is the hub level. This level is a central area for saving game progress, restoring health points, and entering dungeons. In the full design, it also features shops and storage for trading and storing equipment. This here is the player's home. This is where you can save your game and regenerate health by sleeping. The current implemented features in this hub level include save game functions and navigation systems to the dungeons. During development, I have encountered some issues like collisions with trigger box and character clipping, but they are fixed with invisible walls. This here is the dungeon level. Each time the player enters the dungeon, the generator will generate a new dungeon layout, and it is completely randomized. Inside the dungeon, there is combat rooms, the boss room, escape rooms, treasure rooms, and hallways. The dungeon could generate these kind of structures reliably because there's a failsafe that prevents the rooms from overlapping each other, or the dungeon could not generate more rooms because there's not enough exits. If the dungeon generator fails to generate the whole structure completely, the dungeon level would reset it and the whole process begin again. During my development of the dungeons, I encountered several problems or issues, such as overlapping rooms due to a missing custom collision channels when migrating my assets, and there's also lighting issues being too dark, as the dungeon is requiring this kind of lights, the lanterns, for lighting. And to fix that, I've added a directional light as a skylight to give light inside the dungeons to prevent the lighting issues. There's also traps damaging players incorrectly due to hitbox issues. And also there is report of overwhelming enemies inside the dungeons, which I fixed by lowering the amount of spawn points inside the combat rooms and also adding doors to separate the rooms and the dungeon structures, as you can see here. There's also reports of the dungeon being hard to navigate, and to solve that problem, I have added a minimap that shows the dungeon layout to help player easier for navigating the dungeons. I will now show you the gameplay of this game. As you can see, there's a loading screen when the player enters the dungeon. When we're in the dungeon, the player would have to equip a weapon inside this UI by choosing from all these kind of weapons. Each weapon have a different stats like damage, range, attack speed, and equip speed. During my development of this game, I had to cut out most of the equipment and keep it simple, as when I evaluate my development progress, I am lacking time and could not finish a full complete equipment system. That's why I cut it down to three different kind of weapons for the player to select. During combat, the player could press right mouse button to block the enemy attack, and the enemy AI would also block the player attack by chance. As you can see, the enemy AI did not block the attack. When the enemy is defeated, the player could press F to collect the bodies, and it will regenerate some amount of health points for the player, and would also provide experience points. This is the healing pod. Players could regenerate their health points by obtaining the healing orb inside the healing pods. During my development, the dungeon experienced issues like lightings being too dark due to the lack of lighting outside the scene, and is fixed by putting a direct light. So now when the player looks away from the light source, the screen would not be pitch black. The enemy behaviors have different states, such as attacking, as you can see, the blocking state. The enemy could also lose perception of the player and will enter a seeking state. As you can see, when we consume the bodies of the enemies, the player will gain experience points and skill points. Skill points could be used to upgrade the player character with strength, health, defense, and speed. This is the boss room. The player could defeat the boss here. As you can see, that's the boss. This is the escape room. When the player escaped from the escape room, the player would return to the city level, and hence they could return to their home to save their progress. During the development and the testing of this prototype, I have reports of the combat of this game being sluggish due to the fact that I disable the input of the character when attacking. To tackle this problem, instead of disabling the input when the player attacks, I made it so the player will have a lower movement speed when attacking. I have also got reports from testers of getting lost inside the dungeons, and that is why I have added a minimap on the top right of the screen. This would allow the player to observe the layout of the dungeon, and by pressing G or M, the player could enlarge the map and see the layout of the dungeon. The red skulls moving around on the minimap are the enemy AI, and the green cross are the healing pots, and the blue escape icon is the escape room where the player could escape the dungeon, and the orange or yellow a king skeleton crown is the boss room where the player could defeat the boss. As you can see, the player progress is saved because I have slept in bed in the player's home, and the player could explore the dungeons again with all the progress. This prototype shows that the full game idea is achievable and the core systems of this game is functioning. The future of this project will be focusing polishing the game and more equipment and shop system that will appear in this level. And this is the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will enjoy the game.